So, hello, my name's Steve Nobel, and today I'm speaking with Helen Elder on soulmates and the Akashic records. So, Helen is a naturally gifted intuitive psychic medium who found herself visiting the Akashic records long before she even knew what they were. A life crisis led her to work more deeply with the spirit realm, and she began using her channeling abilities to give readings with oracle cards and work directly in the Akashic fields for others. Her passion is to liberate her clients from repetitive programs, beliefs, and limitations to set them free to rise into their highest timeline. And she holds group sessions for powerful clearing of collective wounds and brings through the angelic realm through light language and codes for deeper healing. And more information can be found on oraclecardgoddess.co.uk. So, hi, Helen.
That's me.
That's you. So, how did it all begin then? How did you find yourself in this Akashic record zone?
Yeah, so I knew, looking back, I didn't know at the time, but when I was a child, I kept knowing things before they happened. And so I'd say, oh, someone would lose something, and I'd be like, have a dream about it, be like, oh, it's over there, or, oh, such and such's cat is about to die, or this kind of thing. And it just came up naturally. But I very quickly learned that nobody else was really doing that. And I very quickly learned that I got very funny looks when I did that.
Yeah.
So really, around about the age of 10, sort of going into teenage, it was like, oh, right, I better keep quiet about that. And so I really sort of pushed it to the background, and it was just that normal human wanting to fit in, and I better not be the bonkers one kind of thing. But
Yeah.
you can only sort of suppress it so much. Like, I was still really the bonkers one, but nowadays it's great. I love being the bonkers one. And yeah, so then, life grew up, and just thought, well, that's just this weird thing I do, but I'm not really going to pay it any attention. I'm going to go have a proper job, I'm going to go out there and, get a job everyone else does and all the rest of it. And that all came crashing down spectacularly. So I was working in London as a project manager, and I just got very, very ill overnight. And ended up having to go back home and was pretty much in bed for a couple of years. And I just lost everything. I lost my income, my home, job, friends, connections. I just couldn't do anything. And so really, but it was a spiritual awakening, because when you've lost everything on the material and the physical plane, it's like, well, what's left?
Yeah.
Who was I when I wasn't a friend, or I wasn't a partner, or I wasn't an employee, or I wasn't any of those things? What's left? And so it sent me onto this real journey of rediscovering that younger self. Well, I used to know things, and I used to, do these sorts of things. And yeah, and so it led me on the path to rediscovering all of that. And it all came flooding back. And yeah, and then I was like, well, I can't go, when I got better, it's like, I can't go back to my old life. So what the hell do I do now? And it was like, well, why don't I use these gifts somehow to help others? And so that's when I thought, do you know why I started using cards? Because I could do readings anywhere. I didn't need cards, but I thought, I think the person needs something pretty to look at while they have a reading.
Yeah.
So that's actually why I started using cards. But then I realized how useful they were as a tool, because they trigger. And so I was doing readings, and what I realised is all that natural information that I was always getting about people, it was me picking up on things in their Akashic records,
Yeah.
as well as sort of psychic information. So it all sort of came together. But then I realised as time went on doing this work that if you really delve into the Akash, you can really make significant changes and really clear stuff. And so that's when I sort of separated it and was like, right, I'll do readings with cards and I'll do Akashic work. Readings with cards is very much about the human, love, life, relationships, money, job. And then the Akash is like, your soul, and what are you here to do? And what 25 lifetimes do we have to clear in this session so you can be abundant and stuff like that. So they're quite
Excellent.
different.
Well,
So, yeah.
I suppose I should ask you, just to make sure everybody knows, what is a soulmate? How would you define it?
So this is interesting because obviously working in the Akash, you come across lots of close connections and repeated close connections that people have with other people.
Yeah.
And for me, the way I describe it is basically souls that are seeded around the same time and journey through many lifetimes kind of in a group. So it's like a group soul. They form a group soul, but each an individual. And these can be anything from 100 to 150 to 200. And another way I like to describe it is if you think of a big oak tree, and if you think of all the leaves on that oak tree, if you're one of the leaves, so the oak tree is the soul family, the group soul, you're one of the leaves, and then the leaves that are around you are the ones that you really feel strongly connected to when you meet them in the physical, or if you meet them in the physical. Whereas the leaves that are on sort of a few branches over, you may still have that sort of recognition, but it won't necessarily be as like boom as, you know, a close one. So yeah, and I see that we sort of travel in these groups, and some of us will incarnate while others stay as sort of helpers in the spirit realms. Sometimes we come together. Also, I mean, it's unlimited, isn't it? All the different
Yeah.
options.
I mean, some people I think go straight to the romantic connection, but they can come through all kinds of connections, can't they?
Exactly. So yeah, we think of soulmate, of course. The first thing we think of is the romantic, but you know, your pet, your dog can be part of this soul group. Your friends, your work colleagues, your mum, you know, your child, your and then the partner as well. So the partner's only one option for soulmates. Yeah, they absolutely come in all shapes and sizes.
Do they come to shake us, wake us, do you think?
Yeah, so what I see when I work with them in the Akash is they come for lots of different reasons. What the main thing I would say I see is they come in as a catalyst. So that close soulmate that I just mentioned, when you are going about your daily business, you know, you've gone to work, you've gone to Sainsbury's, you know, you're cooking your dinner, and then you just one day come across someone, maybe someone introduces you to someone, or it's a new person that's joined your work. And even though you've never met them before in the physical, you have a really strong reaction to their presence. So you really like, I know this person. And often it will come with a sense of love as well. It's like, I love this person. But of course, the rational mind is, what the hell are you talking about? You met them 30 seconds ago. So it creates this conflict. But then because it's so dramatic, that's then the catalyst for my left brain, my science, nothing can explain this to me. My rational mind cannot explain this to me. So the only option they have is to look beyond and go on to a spiritual journey to try and understand, why do I feel like I know this person inside out? Why do I feel so much love for them? Why do they have such an effect on me? Why can I not stop thinking about them? And so it's a catalyst for a spiritual awakening, because once you start to answer that question, of course, it takes you on so many paths and open doors to, you know, the whole spiritual experience.
As a catalyst, does it always feel pleasant and loving, or can sometimes it feel,
No, so so in some of the ones I've come, so that's the main one I see, is it's a real spiritual awakener. It kicks people up the wazoo and gets them on the spiritual path. But another one, particularly, I mean, we all have different labels for this. So for me, I call it karmic connections. And these are the not so positive ones. These are when we've ended up locked in a cycle with these other soulmates that isn't particularly like it worked at the time. So let's say we've got a soulmate who says, right, I'm going to teach you about abandonment. So I'm going to come into your life and I'm going to abandon you. And I'll do that a few times so you get to learn it. But then if there's too many sort of energy connections and you know, it gets a bit tangled, then the lesson's been learned and the wisdom's been received, but that pattern continues. So now, where once it was helpful, now it's not helpful. And so that's when it just creates a loop of like pain and suffering, you know, that's sort of repetitive, like a broken record, rather than actually taking you, you know, helping your soul grow. So that's when they need sort of disconnecting, and those energetic cords need to return to source, so that loop doesn't keep going. So yeah,
what about,
sometimes it can't be, you know, it's not sometimes it's karmic. And also another one that happens is triggers for your own wounds. So they will come in specifically to trigger, to help you see what you are still carrying. Now, of course, anyone who triggers our wounds, you know, it's going to be difficult. We're not going to skip off into the sunset, you know. So that's another tough one.
Yeah, we're not going to welcome them with open arms, give them roses for triggering our
No,
wounds.
exactly. Yeah. But then we do have the opposite. We do have those that come in. Do you know what? I'm going to be your wingman in this life. I'm going to be your wingman. I'm going to support. I'll just be on the sidelines. But, you know, that might be the friend that is the shoulder that they get to, you know, cry on or things like that. So, yeah, they can come in all sorts of ways. Some feel great, some not so great.
Do we usually carry agreements or vows or promises with these connections?
Yeah, I find that more with connections where we've ended up in intimate relationships with them. So quite a few that I've, for example, done recently is, you know, they've made a marriage vow in one lifetime, but sometimes you know, people can perform magic without realizing they're performing magic. So I don't know if you've ever, you know, you probably come across this where people do like blood things where they just prick their fingers and join the fingers together and say, oh, we're going to be soulmates together forever, you know. And of course they're thinking, oh, in this lifetime. But they've actually performed a spell that's really strong. And I will only love you, and, you know, this kind of thing. And so then they're stuck, you know, in lifetime after lifetime of not being able, either if that other soul doesn't incarnate, then they end up not being able to have a relationship with anyone, or they end up, you know, with relationships that will never work, that will always break down. So yes, so sometimes these contracts, again, may have been made with the best of intentions, but actually have become more of a hindrance than something that's beautiful and loving.
Do you find that going into the Akashic records and finding out exactly what happened in another lifetime, that awareness actually is a healing effect?
Yes, because I do get people a lot who they're just so upset and they're so confused and they just don't get it. You know, why is this person, you know, why do they make me feel so awful, or why can I not stop thinking about them? And, you know, they're trying to use their rational brain, like I said, to explain it, and they just can't. So they come for a session and then they'll explain, you know, oh, this person came into my life and it's blown my life apart and blah, blah, blah. So I'll be like, right, let's have a look at this. And then we go in and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you were initially seeded. You know, you were priest and high priestess in Atlantis. You worked very closely together. You had a very strong bond. You then came through to Egypt. You did a lot of work together there. But it's almost like you completed a cycle and then you started to go your separate ways and you know, you just felt the work together was complete and started to go your separate ways. So moving into alignments with other soulmates. But then of course they'll still be in your life. And once that's been explained to them, this is the trajectory you've had on a soul level. There's such an aha moment. Finally, they've got the understanding. Oh my God, I'm not going mad. I haven't lost the plot. There's a real reason why this person has such an effect on me, or there's a real reason why every time I see this person, I end up in floods of tears, you know. And that brings them a real sense of peace and a sense of, oh, and also that, do you know what? That's okay. That's absolutely normal. What you're experiencing is normal because of this trajectory. And so they're like, oh, okay, it's all fine. And again, it gives them that viewpoint beyond the human. They'll never understand it if they stick to the physical human, this is my only lifetime viewpoint. They won't understand it. Once they open that door to the idea that, you know, they've been with this person in all sorts of guises so many times, it liberates them from all that stress and that they're going around in circles. And then they can move on from it, you know, and they can take the teaching, the wisdom, the healing from it as well. And it also makes them feel, a lot of the time, you know, reconnects them to know you're not just, you know, Jane who gets up, goes to work and goes to to sleep. You're this incredible being of light, you know, that has many, many experiences. So that often brings a lot of healing as well.
So in the Akashic records, you can kind of clear karmic connections, agreements, entanglements. Do you find that once that's done, they kind of separate, they kind of drift apart, they go off and into the sunset type of thing?
Yes, as long as simultaneously they also work on themselves with any wounds that are connected. So if, for example, it's abandonment, that seems to be the one that's coming up a lot at the moment. So we'll clear the cord. So what I do is I release the entanglements and return. So I see it clairvoyantly as cord, you know, energy cords. And so I release the cords from them with them. We do it as it's like a co-creation. And then I return those cords to source. So the other person involved is still connected and can also receive healing should their free will allow that. Now, once that's done, but however, if there's any residual kind of wound within them of this abandonment, they then need to do the healing. And obviously we do some healing in the session, and maybe it'll take multiple sessions and we do get there, but they can also do work themselves. So the combination of releasing the cords and the healing of the wound is what ultimately completely sets them free. Yeah.
What about new ones? When you do this work, do you find that new ones can come in, or is there ways of using the Akashic field to invite new soulmates into the reality?
Yes. So obviously lots of people come to me wanting to find their soulmate in the romantic sense. Well, there's two groups actually. So there's one that are wanting their soulmate in the romantic sense, and then there's the other group who are like, I feel isolated, I feel alone, I really want to find my soul tribe, I want to find my soul family. And often for that, what I find is their soul family is there, they are here incarnate, so they can connect with them in this lifetime, but they're also carrying either beliefs or programs or wounds around not deserving that kind of love. Because when you get the soulmates that have come in a supportive role, it is divine love. It is a way of seeing God or source or a higher power through human eyes. And so it's like, well, they're there, or the romantic soulmate is there, but you, the person, is not in a place of feeling like they are worthy of that love or worthy of that support. And so then we go into the Akash and we look at, okay, we go to the root. Where is the root of this belief that you hold, that you think you're not worthy or you think you're not deserving? Because we're all deserving of divine love, aren't we? I mean, it's the core of who we are. And so, yeah, so that's how we bring them in, is they're already there. The only thing getting in the way is the person's own belief system or programming. And so we release them from that. And then we bring in, it's a twofold process. So we release them from that, but then we bring in that higher light. So often at that point, the angels will step in, bring through higher codes, angelic light language, etc., to really bring in that light. And that, again, that remembrance of the fact that they're a beautiful spiritual being of light, and that they're deeply loved and cherished by the angelic realm, regardless of anything they think they may have done. You know, they may think they're a bad person or awful. You know, they get in touch with that unconditional love that the higher realms have for them. And so once we do that, so it's a twofold process, the releasing and the bringing in. And then again, they'll often be given a set of exercises or mantras or affirmations to get them into that higher vibration of deserving. And then that's when they can call in the soul family and or the soulmate. Yeah. So it's very powerful for doing that. Yeah.
So I know you do regular groups online. Do you want to say something about the kind of work you do for people?
Yeah, so I do a group session every month on Zoom, and I absolutely love this. Today it's people getting together, and as you know, Steve, when people get together with the intention of healing, oh my God, it is so much more powerful than just one-to-one or doing it for themselves. And so every month I just sit in meditation and I ask my team, You know, what is it that's needed this month? And it can be all sorts. I mean, I've done, you know, Akashic clearings to get you closer to your guardian angel, the usual abundance clearing, money blocks, things like that. Bringing in soul family, I've done. Connecting with dragons, I've done. And all of these things are to help you move forward. And what I do is I bring the group together and I take them on a journey, a deep meditative journey. And then when they're in that journey, so we'll go into a forest or we'll go up into beautiful golden light or golden temple. And then whatever the theme is, so let's say soulmates, so if I was doing the soul tribe, I would go into what I've already discussed about releasing all those parts that feel they don't deserve it, all those parts they feel they're not worthy. And because they're all doing it simultaneously, it's like, boom, that's gone. It's like, oh, it's gone. And then I just read the, you know, the general group, the general energy of the group. And often what comes up is resistance. And you'll have come across this as well. It's like, yeah, I really want to meet my soulmate. I want my one true love. But when that's actually coming in, it's like, oh, no, I want to stay in my comfort zone. I want to stay where I am. So that it's just fear of change, isn't it? It's fear of the unknown. Yes, I want my soulmate, but what if it all goes wrong? Oh, better not to have it at all, because then I'm safe, you know. So often as I'm doing the clearing, I can see these little, you know, bubbles up of fear or of trepidation or of, usually it's control as well, not wanting to release control of anything. And so I watch for those as we're doing the group clearing and then bring those in. You know, as soon as I see them, I will then bring those in and clear those as well. And we all have such similar programming. You know, a lot of us have aspects where we feel we don't deserve something, or aspects where we feel, oh, I don't feel safe enough to release control. So yeah, it's a lovely way to work. It's really good.
Brilliant. Now, I know you're going to offer a meditation separately to this interview. What's the meditation on?
Yes, so as we've already talked about, we're going to do a bringing in your soul tribe meditation. So this is, you know, it's a bit of a shit show out there, as we know, and so many people are awakening, you know, every year. I mean, I've been doing this work for nearly 2 decades, and in the last 5 years, I've seen more people, you know, spiritually awakened than I ever did before that. And it's accelerating every year, which I'm sure you see as well. And then I see big waves of it. So, you know, 1 month it'll be a big wave of awakening. So this year, I've got the message time and time again that it's really important for us to start connecting with these soulmates, to know who they are, to understand who they are, to understand their purpose, to understand who we are on a soul level, and then get together. Because, you know, when you get together in that soulmate tribe that's there for support, then we are 1,000 times more powerful. Because it's that sense of belonging, it's that sense of being seen, it's that sense of being, you know, people knowing you and loving you exactly as you are. That's what the supportive soulmates come in to do, to really bring you the divine in a human setting. So that's what I will be doing, the meditation, to clear anything that's, you know, getting in the way, and then really bringing in that beautiful divine soulmate light and connections, and yeah, so everyone can listen and bring them all in and have a jolly old time of it.
Well, thanks, Helen. Anybody wanting to follow your work should go to oraclecardgoddess.co.uk. And
Yeah, that's me.
Until next time, thanks very much, Helen. Until our next meeting.
Absolutely. I will be seeing you very soon, I'm sure, Steve.
Okay.